Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We got an exciting show in store for you this morning. We're going to be talking in the 7 o'clock hour with Robert Barnum. He's got a new book out. He's put a lot of work into this. It's called Wrestling with the Cold War. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's about wrestling during the Cold War. We're going to hear all about it in the 7 o'clock hour, so you won't want to miss that. First, let's start with a viewer comment. Mark writes in this morning, says, "Good morning, Frank." And I say, "Good morning, Mark. I see Secretary Duffy and officials talk on maritime dominance in Tampa, Florida. They plan on making a shipbuilding great again." Thank you very much, Mark. We've got a lot things to cover, a lot of updates from yesterday and late last week. First, I want to present this to you, and we'll make this announcement again in the future. But Corning's Gaffer District is thrilled to welcome back the LPGA Tour for the Classic, presented by Corning Incorporated over Memorial Day weekend of next year. We talked about this extensively on the program. To fully embrace the return of the tournament and provide the space needed to welcome tournament attendees throughout downtown Corning, the Gaffer District will move Glass Fest, presented by Chemung Canal Trust Company, to June 19th through the 21st, of 2027. So June 19th to the 21st, 2027. Catherine Price, Executive Director of Corning's Gaffer District, said the return of the LPGA Tour is an extraordinary opportunity for Corning, and we could not be more excited to welcome the Classic back to our community. This tournament is an important part of Corning's history, and its return gives us another opportunity to show visitors what makes Corning so incredible. Moving Glass Fest allows us to wholeheartedly celebrate the LPGA, welcome tournament attendees downtown, and give both of these incredible events the time, attention, and space they deserve. So we'll keep you updated on that as it nears, but I thought you should have that information handy. I think that's probably overall a good idea. Just, if nothing else, traffic. All right. We've been talking about the Bills Stadium. I know that's a big topic. I know we have a lot of Bills fans. But according to Nielsen Fandom, it's the NFL Fandom Index, Buffalo tops the NFL as the most passionate fan base, despite being one of the smallest markets in the league. Nielsen released its first ever NFL Fandom Index Monday, ranking Buffalo as the most passionate fan base in the league, ahead of Kansas City and Green Bay. The study, called the Nielsen Scarborough NFL Fandom Index, measured fan engagement across 8 categories, including game attendance, merchandise purchases, TV viewership, streaming habits, radio listening, and social media activities. A score of 100 represented the average NFL market. The ranking comes despite Buffalo being one of the smallest markets, as I mentioned. We don't have to go through the individual people they interviewed, but I think that almost goes without saying. I think this would have been something we didn't need a index for. So there you go. For all you Bills fans out there, you're the most passionate in the league. Did you see yesterday President Trump welcomed that heroic teen lifeguard who risked his life to save a 10-year-old boy from those pounding waves? He was praised by President Trump in the Oval Office, with the boy he rescued by his side. And I can't believe you had the reporter during this ask Trump about, I guess, the new star in the Democrat Party, Senator John Ossoff. I know we have new stars, it seems like every day, that someone that the media is pushing. Well, I'll tell you about what he said, and CNN's responded to the way Trump responded to one of these things. But Ryder Williams, 16, saved Nathaniel Ray from the treacherous surf at Seabright State Beach in Santa Cruz on July 25th. Trump told Williams, "What you did was incredible and everyone saw it. Maybe lifeguards don't get the credit they deserve." Williams also expressed he wanted to be a firefighter when he's older, to which Trump replied, "We'll give recommendations." Williams saved 10-year-old Nathaniel Ray from the pounding surf in a dramatic rescue that was captured on video, showing Williams' heroic effort as he kept the young boy above water. The video went viral shortly after the rescue and caught the attention of Eric Trump and eventually the president himself. Ray and his father were also present during the Oval Office meeting. Ray's father expressed his gratitude to Williams and to Trump for hosting the event. Trump posted, "We're going to bring the heroic young man and his family into the White House with perhaps the boy he saved to give him a high civilian honor. Very brave. He deserves it." Williams recently opened up about the terrifying moments when he realized the child's life was slipping away in a video that was posted to social media, saying, "As I grab the child, he goes limp, so I'm thinking about if he's unconscious or not, that I really need to go in." The rookie lifeguard spotted the young boy, gets swept away in ankle-deep water, grabbing his gear and sprinting into surf with waves up to 10 feet tall. The challenges for this rescue was that it was so close and fins were ineffective. "I was unable to pull him out because he was limp and the waves were pushing so hard. The whole time I was thinking, I just need to hold my position until my partner can get here because I'm not going to be able to get him out on my own." As beachgoers rushed to the surf to help, Williams ordered them back to the shore. There were bystanders who jumped in to try to help, and I yelled for them to get back on shore. My partner mostly takes over holding the child because at this point my arms were very exhausted from holding on. I still supported him as much as I can as we drag him out of the water. Nathaniel's father, Samu Ray, said, "Gratefully, he's alive. It's a miracle. I'm so grateful to that lifeguard rider. 2 more seconds, he gets thrown another 15 to 20 feet. You can't see him, let alone rescue him. My son told me that he drowned, and my son told me that he went unconscious. He was very subdued, still in a state of shock." Well, what a nice honor from the president. But as I mentioned, of course, as the medias want to do, they decided to use that event to ask a question about Senator Jon Ossoff's recent comments, where he said that Trump would rather build a ballroom and travel with White House aide Natalie Harp than do his job as president, to which Trump replied by calling him Pee Wee Herman. One of the problems with this, and this is the new narrative because we talked about this almost every day of the Trump administration, where they try to brew up another scandal. And what they're trying to suggest is that there's some kind of inappropriate almost relationship with this Natalie Harp. And that's what Jon Ossoff is insinuating. And here's the thing, that's making him a star. That's all the Democrat Party has apparently right now, to make someone a star. And it worked at first, but it got overused by Gavin Newsom, if you recall. The left loved Gavin Newsom at first because he was trying to emulate Trump's style on Twitter and elsewhere, and it just got kind of tedious. So his star is not rising as much. Now Senator Jon Ossoff is the star. The White House responded. It was White House correspondent Kristen Holmes from CNN. And they said Holmes is a disgraceful, humiliating embarrassment to her alleged profession. The president hosts a hero lifeguard in the Oval Office, and she uses it as an opportunity to take a cheap shot about one of President Trump's staffers. These scumbags are the lowest of low. Someday your children will come across your disgusting and inhumane question. They'll be sick and embarrassed to have a parent be so callous and vindictive. It's quite troubling, the White House told Holmes. So CNN has since released a statement saying Kristen Holmes is one of the most respected and accomplished journalists covering the White House. This afternoon, she did her job and asked the President of the United States a tough, relevant, and newsworthy question on behalf of the American people. Public officials are free to challenge reporting they disagree with, but personal attacks on journalists for asking questions are beneath the office and inconsistent with the principles of a free press. We stand firmly behind Kristen and reject these attacks in the strongest possible terms. You know, and again, this is why so many outlets have lost credibility. Because wouldn't you like to see a tough, if that's how they want to word that, during a ceremony to honor a heroic lifeguard, that's when they want to ask the tough questions, allegedly. Tough, relevant, and newsworthy questions. Where was that for 4 years under the Biden administration? Hasn't that been one of the big criticisms? Isn't that really why Jake Tapper released that book, to kind of cover their you-know-whats after the fact? Where was this tough, difficult questions? Where was the question during the, well, there wasn't a lot of White House meetings back during the Biden administration, but there were. Where was the tough questions on mental, physical acuity? Trump, who held a meeting in the Oval Office with Ryder Williams, as we mentioned, lashed out at Holmes in a separate exchange as she attempted to ask another question, saying, "Quiet, you're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands." "Who are you with?" She said, "I'm with CNN." And that's when Trump said, "Fake news, you're fake news, you're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news, be quiet, you're a fake reporter, and you report fake news." Does not seem like the appropriate setting for that question, but one that we're going to hear more about. That's It's all over Drudge Report this morning. I'm not going to talk about it, but I am going to talk about this John Ossoff if we have some time to get to it. I do have a couple quick updates to run through. The Justice Department unveiled a new process Monday for people barred from owning firearms because of past criminal convictions to have their gun rights restored. The launch of the Federal Firearms Rights Restoration application process marks one of Attorney General Todd Blanche's first actions as the newly minted head of the DOJ, this coming from the New York Post, and a major victory for Second Amendment advocates who have long argued that nonviolent felons should have an avenue to regain their right to bear arms. Quote, the Second Amendment is not a second-class right, and the federal government should not permanently deprive Americans of a constitutional right without regard to whether they pose a threat a danger to public safety. This rule establishes a rigorous, common-sense process that protects the public while giving deserving Americans a real path to restoration. Pardon attorney Ed Martin said the finalized rule will pave the way for the unprecedented restoration of firearms rights to some 30 million Americans who have lost their Second Amendment rights. President Trump keeps making history, Martin said. Convicted felons have long been allowed to petition the government to have their gun rights restored, but in 1992, Congress defunded the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives program tasked with processing those applications, effectively barring the federal agency from investigating and approving individual applicants. The new rule aims to circumvent the issue by establishing a new application system using an online portal. The DOJ noted it cannot predict with certainty how many applications it may receive, but given the defunct status of the prior process and the number of ex-cons without gun rights who sought to purchase a firearm in the last 3 years, 330,000 is not an unreasonable estimate for the first year of this program. Restoration will be granted on a case-by-case basis. The department will weigh each applicant's record and reputation to determine whether they pose a likely threat to public safety before reinstating their Second Amendment rights. Ex-cons convicted of violent crimes, including domestic abuse, sexual assault, robbery, and terrorism, will be denied absent extraordinary circumstances. Registered sex offenders, illegal immigrants, those with mental health-related disabilities, and drug addicts, except for marijuana users, will also likely see their applications denied. The Second Amendment Foundation said today's development is an exciting new step in the process of ensuring the civil rights of all Americans are respected, while only those proven dangerous to society are disarmed. Now, Chris Brown, the president of Brady, a group that advocates for tougher gun laws, said her organization was still reviewing the rule, but stressed the need for a robust and thoughtful system that minimizes the risk to public safety. Yet the Trump administration has consistently shown us they have no such discretion, including by restoring gun rights to convicted domestic abusers and violent January 6th insurrectionists, and by tirelessly rolling back broad policies proven to prevent crime and gun violence. The Restoration Portal is the latest move by the Trump administration to ease firearm restrictions. The department also recently opted against challenging a court ruling that struck down regulations on firearm suppressors and certain guns. There you go. Also, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna wait because we have a lot to get to. Just kind of these quick, no way to segue type stories, but stories that I think you need to know. We are going to then talk about the rise of the Democrat Socialists of America and the establishment Democrats who are fighting tooth and nail, some of them, not a lot, but some of them to make sure that the Democrat Socialists of America don't get on the presidential ballot. We may talk about that. We got some pretty cool Bruce Blakeman updates as well. Did you happen to get your Blakeman sign? I'd love to hear about it. I hope everybody was able to. I know Chemung County was giving them out. Bruce Blakeman signs out early. We talked about this with former congressman, current assemblyman, and current chair of the Steuben County GOP, Joe Sempolinski. We talked about how normally you wouldn't be looking at signs until really around Labor Day. So it's kind of nice to have these out where they're accessible, and I think people appreciate that. So keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's layaway your swimming pool time at Hesselsen's for next year. With Hesselsen's Easy Layaway Plan, only $500 down guarantees you this year's price and gets you on an early installation date for next year. But hurry in, as next year's list will fill fast. Same great pricing, same great service, same great installation. Come in early so you can enjoy your new swimming pool all summer long. Hesselsen's, your locally owned and operated swimming pool store since 1955, will always be there for you today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
is one of the busiest highways in America. Thousands of trucks travel up and down it all hours of the day, and big trucks can cause catastrophic injuries. That's when you need the power of William Mattar, the largest motor vehicle accident firm in the state. At William Mattar, we only handle motor vehicle accident cases, and we fight for big money and big results. Hurt in a car, only call William Mattar.
Live a carefree, engaging lifestyle at Apple Ridge Senior Living, where exceptional is the standard. It's time to redefine your future. Pursue your passions and make meaningful connections. Enjoy an inclusive and customizable senior living experience. Everything you could want, more than you expect. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and schedule your tour today.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We can enjoy some seasonable sunshine for our Tuesday, around 80 degrees, more sun than clouds, and we'll see high temperatures ranging from 76 to 82, looking from west to east across the area. Overnight, upper 50s, a little cool with the drier air in place, and then 81 for a high on Wednesday. We do have some shower and storm potential returning Wednesday and into Wednesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. The White House taking a victory lap. Did you see this? Drug prices dropped 3.1% in the last year. That's the steepest drop since 1963. Trump promised to slash prescription drug prices, and he has delivered, said the White House. New data confirms prescription drug prices just recorded their largest annual decline in more than 60 years, the steepest drop since 1963, as the Trump administration's landmark, most favored nations policy takes hold. Over the past year, Trump strong-armed major drug makers into reducing what they sought from government programs such as Medicare and Medicaid, while establishing a new platform called Trump RX that lists discounts for people without insurance who are paying out of pocket. So there you go, down 3.1%. Oh, and we know, we talked about this last week, and a lot of people are disappointed, and I understand it. Carolyn Leavitt leaving the White House, leaving being press secretary. Some people speculated, and it was more done as a joke by Greg Gutfeld, but speculating that she could go to Fox. Well, what we learn is the White House is reportedly weighing having cabinet members lead the White House press briefings after Carolyn Leavitt departs as press secretary. You know, they did this before when she was on maternity leave. It was kind of, it was unique. I personally enjoyed it myself. There's also something to be said about having someone who that's their specific job. But Semi4 reported that White House correspondent Shelby Talcott reported in the outlet's newsletter that the White House is considering the move, saying it's temporary practice that satisfied Trump during the period that Leavitt was off for maternity leave. And a White House official told Semi4 that it's once again under discussion under a new permanent press secretary until a new permanent press secretary is named. Okay, all right, so it's going to be both, it sounds like. It is like this. Some of the officials, such as before it was J.D. Vance did it, Marco Rubio. It's really... You almost want to say that's when Marco Rubio's star started rising. I know I said that earlier, but that's when there's a couple things right in a row at that time where Marco Rubio just hit it out of the park. J.D. Vance did a great job. Scott Bessent did a good job. Took him a little bit of time to get on his feet, if you recall. Still did a good job. In many ways, the White House faces less pressure than previous administrations to find its next press secretary because of how frequently Trump engaged with reporters. The president often takes questions multiple times a week. In 2025 alone, listen to this, Trump participated in nearly 500 transcribed events and engaged with the media at 3/4 of them. For example, he took questions from reporters at 134 press sprays, as they're called, all 15 general rallies, and 14 press conferences. He also took questions at 31 Marine One gaggles, 41 gaggles, aboard Air Force One and 28 gaggles outside of Air Force One. In many ways, he's his own top spokesperson. When asked if Leavitt was replaceable, Trump said, "No, she's not. She really isn't. She's standing right out there and she's done a great job. I found out she likes her children more than she likes Trump. I'm very concerned about that." Typical Trump there. Yeah, that's good. That's a tough loss, let's face it, for the White House. But to that point, a press secretary, I believe, is necessary. Don't get me wrong. But I think being that he's got to be the most accessible president, perhaps of all time, most transparent, that is it necessary. Here's something, before we talk about Iran, and then we're going to talk about the votes that are up today. Just give you a quick overview on that. Give me your thoughts on this. We often talk about Gen Z and, unfortunately, this push in the education system, this propagandizing of these children to, it's why we see anti-Semitism, why we see the push towards socialism. But this is fascinating. Put those two things aside. Nearly 10% of Gen Zers said they had zero face-to-face interactions with another person in their daily life. This is coming from U.S. Census data by the Financial Times. The dangerous trend was triggered by COVID pandemic, when millions of young people were kept stuck inside during the years spent developing crucial social skills. The American Time Youth Survey suggested that a shocking number of these young people, aged 23 to 29, have not recovered. So 23 to 29, when you should be out having fun, they have days where they go on end with zero face-to-face interactions. In 2019, the last year before the pandemic, only 3% of young adults weren't socializing face-to-face on a daily basis. But by the time COVID restrictions had eased in late 2021, that figure was almost 9%, and it peaked at 10% in 2023 before ticking down slightly in 24 and 25. And where the most socially active segment of young people saw their social lives rebound following the pandemic, for the bottom quarter, they have not. Before 2020, the most socially connected segment of young adults used to spend 87% of their day with other people, a figure that dropped to 78% during COVID restrictions before rising to 83% as of 2025. But for the most isolated segment of the young adult population, who used to spend roughly a third of their day with others, that figure collapsed to essentially zero during the pandemic and has stayed there ever since. Wow. Amazing. All right. See what I mean? No way to segue between all these. I do want to talk about John Ossoff a little bit later on, and just the rise of Democratic Socialists of America. I think you're going to be really intrigued by some of the articles that we have about Bruce Blakeman, some big news coming out about Bruce Blakeman. I see yesterday President Trump threatened to bomb Oman if they get in the way of the Iran deal. This was yesterday. Control of the waterway, which Iran has effectively closed since the conflict began on February 28th, remains at the heart of a deadlock between Tehran and Washington. Trump telling Fox News, if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the blank out of them. There you go. Now, according to an expert spoke to the New York Post, Iran's oil exports have dropped to nearly zero under the renewed U.S. naval blockade. This expert predicts that the economic impacts could hit the elite and destabilize the regime within 2 to 3 months. Iran's ability to ship oil out of the Strait of Hormuz to offset its current economic woes has hit a wall under the new blockade, with little to no activity seen at its Karg Island hub, as Iran and the U.S. attempt to use economic pressure to see who will blink first. Mayad Maleki, who served in the Treasury under President Trump, and Joe Biden, who served in the Treasury, I had to fly again, who served in the Treasury under President Trump and Joe Biden, said Tehran's regime will finally run out of room to maneuver this fall. The blockade has exposed Iran's biggest economic vulnerability, said Maliki. Iran's oil clock is running down, and the real fiscal shock is going to hit in the fall when all their payments come due. Iran notably pays its troops, government employees, security forces, and industrial workers in cycles, with about 60% of that money coming from its oil exports. If its exports continue to be hamstrung in the next cycle, the regime will have few options to shield its soldiers and elites from the economic shock. My apologies, tongue twisted this morning. While the regime has proven that it can endure economic pain suffered by everyday citizens, its attitudes will likely change once members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the wealthy elite start complaining, according to Maleki. So there we are. We'll see. Could this lead to a regime change in the future? All right. When we come back, we're going to take a quick look at what to watch out for tonight in some primaries. Voters weigh in, according to CNN, in Florida, Alaska, and Wyoming. We'll talk a little bit about that. Not too much, because I do want to talk about just the rise of the Democratic Socialists of America in general. But these all do tie in together. As I said, Robert Barnum is going to be our guest coming up in just a little bit in the 7 o'clock hour, where we'll hear about wrestling with the Cold War. I know we got some wrestling fans out there. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to talk with Mary Caruso from the Corning Community Food Pantry. Don't miss that, because there's a way you can vote for Miss Caruso to receive a NASCAR foundation, I think you would call it grant, maybe. We're going to find out all about it. That's why I wanted to be on the program, so we can learn all about it. And then we got a special guest, and I can't set in stone yet if it's Thursday, Friday. We have two. We have a guest each day, but I'm waiting for some final word, and I'll let you know when that comes in exactly who will be our guest on Thursday and who will be our guest on Friday. But both interviews you do not want to miss. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Firefighters responding to a fire alarm on Wednesday found several safety violations.
I'm on scene right now where the commercial fire happened yesterday. As you can see, the building is in complete ruins.
They're pushing for an additional $250 million to the state budget.
Free local pantry here in her front lawn in Painted Post.
The Vencino Group says it will cover hotel stays for residents through March 20th.
With the U.S. Department of State releasing a travel caution worldwide.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. So a few things to watch out for tonight. Florida Republicans are set to choose their nominee in the race to replace term-limited Governor Ron DeSantis. Representative Byron Donald seems to be, he's kind of a rising star. And even remember last week, I guess rising star is the word of the day. But if you recall, even Stephen A. Smith said that he could vote for Byron Donald. Byron is endorsed by President Donald Trump, and he's the favorite in tonight's primary. DeSantis has not endorsed him in the race, and CNN reported last month shared his concerns about Donald's privately with Trump. But DeSantis also hasn't backed any other candidate in a field that includes his lieutenant governor. It's led to a vacuum that has left space for the emergence of James Fishback. Who is this guy? Who, I don't know. I haven't heard of him, but according to CNN, it's led to a vacuum that has left space for the emergence of James Fishback, a race-baiting 31-year-old who called Donalds a DEI Republican who would turn, oh wow, horrible things, I don't want to say it. Tuesday's contest also marks the first time voters will head to the poll under a new congressional map designed by DeSantis to help Republicans net an additional 4 seats that set off a scramble in down-ballot races. Now, despite the lack of an endorsement by Ron DeSantis, Donalds looks to be in a good position. Republicans have won every governor's race in Florida in the last 30 years. Whoever wins on Tuesday, likely Donalds, will emerge Wednesday morning as the clear favorite to win in November. However, Democrats came close to winning the governor's office in 2018, the last time midterms were held with Trump in office. The relatively weak showing by Donalds on Tuesday could indicate Democrats could have an opening. Well, do we know it's going to be a weak showing? I mean, or is that just an assumption? I mean, as far as I know, his name's been thrown around for a long time. He is a star in the Republican Party. So to act as, well, why would CNN know who he is, I suppose? In addition to Fishback, other candidates in the GOP primary are Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, who has framed his campaign around a pledge to protect the DeSantis legacy, even though the governor has not endorsed his own number 2, and former State House Speaker Paul Renner. Democrats are expected to nominate party-switching former Representative David Jolly in the race for governor. Jolly, a prominent critic of Trump, left the GOP in 2018 and last year officially became a Democrat. That seems to be, well, a lot of them do that. They just don't. It's not a good business decision to then become a Democrat. Just stay being a Republican and badmouth the Republican Party, and look, you get a lot of job opportunities. Ask Marjorie Taylor Greene. So there's going to be a bunch of House primaries. I don't think we need to go through each of those. We'll be covering it on the program tomorrow. But it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. CNN does say that Florida Democrats are looking for signs of life. The primary to take on Republican Senator Ashley Moody pits retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman, a key witness in Trump's first impeachment inquiry, against State Representative Angie Nixon, a Democrat socialist who has called for the United States to end its military support for Israel. The nominee, as well as the winner of the gubernatorial primary, will attempt to reverse a rapid rightward shift in Florida. Among the factors contributing to that change, GOP gains with Hispanic voters, an influx of new conservative residents, and a state Democrat Party that has been in disarray. Another Democrat primary to watch comes in the 20th District, where longtime Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz is taking on former Representative Sheila Sherflis McCormick, who resigned from her seat in April to prevent an ethics committee vote on whether she could be forced out of Congress. The panel previously found her guilty of a slew of ethics violations, including accusations that she stole millions in pandemic relief funds and used it to bolster her 2021 campaign. Sherfilis McCormick also faces separate criminal charges and has pleaded not guilty. Wasserman Schultz, however, has faced allegations of carpetbagging in the primary, and she shifted over to run in the historically black district, which has long had a black representative in Congress, after her current seat was redrawn to be more Republican-friendly. And then, because the left and the media are now pushing the narrative that this AI PAC is so evil, which it is not, but will AI PAC get its way in California? California is holding a special election to replace Eric Swalwell. By the way, did you see the updates on that story, Eric Swalwell, and about Fang Fang? It was all over the news, conservative news outlets yesterday, where he admitted, and I guess depositions, I guess she illegally campaigned for him, got fundraising for him. Yeah, I don't know, being that this is a family-friendly show, I don't know how much we're going to go into it. But if you want to find that for yourself, it's at the New York Post is one outlet that I saw. But we're not going to go through each of those. Oh, and this is an interesting one in Alaska. You may have heard of this, but it was some tricky politics. Democrat leadership believe former Representative Mary Peltola can give her party a fighting chance at flipping the Alaska Senate seat held by Republican Dan Sullivan. Why? In the state's unusual primary system, in which the top 4 finishers, regardless of party, advance to the general election, the bigger question might be whether another Dan Sullivan makes the cut. Republicans failed in their efforts to get a second Dan Sullivan, a former teacher who shares the incumbent's first and last name, booted from the ballot. But there's something weird about it, too. Does he? I don't remember exactly what it was. We brought it up to you at the time. But the senator appears on ballot as Stan S. Sullivan, and is listed as a registered Republican and the incumbent. The other Sullivan is identified as Daniel J. Sullivan, Jr., and he is not listed with a party affiliation, even though he filed to run as a Republican. This is just a way to be a spoiler. That's 100% what it was. And finally, Trump's influence is going to be tested in Wyoming. The primary to replace term-limited Governor Mark Gordon will test Trump's influence as a candidate he endorsed. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Megan Degenfelder takes on 3 other viable contenders: professional bull rider Kurt Blake, State Senator Eric Barlow, and Brent Bean, a former Marine Corps colonel. All right. So that's what we'll be watching for tonight. Now, the high-stakes battle, according to Fox, between the left wing and the center-left establishment over the future of the Democrat Party takes the spotlight today in Florida, where a member of the Democrat Socialists of America faces a more moderate incumbent Democrat who supports Israel. After attention-grabbing left-wing victories like al-Assad, others, this civil war, which the media is refusing to report on, is taking place in real time. The Senate primaries in Alaska and Florida will set up crucial general election showdowns in the fight to control the chamber. Floridians will pick the major party nominees in the race to succeed Ron DeSantis, while longtime Democrat Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz is fighting for political survival against a socialist candidate in a dramatically altered congressional district. But the primary grabbing the most national attention is Florida's 25th district, where DSA-endorsed Oliver Larkin is challenging the more moderate Democrat Representative Jared Markowitz in a key congressional swing district that's among roughly 24 House seats that will determine whether Republicans hold on to their razor-thin majority in the midterm elections. The 33-year-old Larkin, a veteran of Sanders' 2016 Democrat presidential campaign, is the only DSA-endorsed House candidate running in a crucial congressional swing district. So that'll be one that we'll keep in mind. That's going to tie in with what we've been talking about with the Democrat Socialists of America and their rise. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We will be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Come celebrate the 207th Steuben County Fair from Monday, August 17th through Sunday, August 23rd. Wednesday, August 19th is Broken Bee Rodeo starting at 7 p.m. And there's more. Demolition derbies, monster truck show, games, rides, fun for the whole family. For tickets and information, visit SteubenCountyFair.org. Experience the Steuben County Fair from August 17th through the 23rd.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We can enjoy some seasonable sunshine for our Tuesday, around 80 degrees, more sun than clouds, and we'll see high temperatures ranging from 76 to 82, looking from west to east across the area. Overnight, upper 50s, a little cool with the drier air in place, and then 81 for a high on Wednesday. We do have some shower and storm potential returning Wednesday and into Wednesday night.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Corning. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning to you. I haven't caught every minute of Frankly Speaking this week. That's okay. Have you mentioned your fair schedule this week? I am going to be there Thursday from noon to 2. That's the shift that I volunteered for, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. So Thursday, noon to 2. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Boy, speaking of Florida, things are getting weird with this Florida Republican, this Daniel Bilzerian. Have you heard about this? You don't see this every day, but bipartisan rebuke. GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson and Democrat Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries have teamed up for a rare bipartisan rebuke of Florida Republican politician who spewed vile anti-Semitic rhetoric against his primary foe. Wannabe House member Daniel Bilzerian rolled out a disturbing ad last week attacking fellow Republican and incumbent Representative Randy Fine. I don't want to use the terms. I'm not going to use any of them on the air. But it went after, I can't even believe it aired on TV. My goodness. That's how bad it was. The vile attack ads against Congressman Randy Fine in Florida's 6th District are disgusting and should be condemned by all political leaders on the right and left, Johnson said. Anti-Semitism and outward hatred of Jewish communities have no place in our politics or in America. Jeffries echoed the speaker about an hour afterward, calling Bilzerian out by name. The hateful campaign being run by Daniel Bilzerian in Florida is blatantly anti-Semitic and shocks the conscience. People of goodwill, regardless of political affiliation, must reject his vile attacks on the Jewish community. This cannot and will not stand. Now, I wish, if we're going to talk about that, this guy's vile. But I wish there could be this bipartisan rebuke when, let's say, for instance, the Democratic Socialists of America push this anti-Semitic message. It doesn't seem to be both ways, is what I'm trying to say. Bilzerian's ad was only the latest sickening salvo in both sides' scorched earth attacks involving Israel and the Gaza war. Fine, for his part, has spouted erroneous Islamophobic rhetoric, according to Ryan King, and seemingly implied that the Gaza Strip, home to about 2 million Palestinians, should be nuked. Okay, this sounds like quite a house race. Enough on that. Anyway, that one we're going to be watching closely. Yikes. Speaking of this anti-Semitism, though, we've talked about it rearing its ugly head and actually becoming really a part of, what would you say, the Democrat Socialists of America, really a part of their platform? Well, did you see that Governor Hochul, we're going to talk about Bruce Blakeman a little bit later on, but Governor Hochul's running mate, former city council speaker Adrian Adams, was heckled by pro-Israel protesters during a Brooklyn Democrat Party forum last week. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and State Attorney General Letitia James were also on hand for the event at the Thomas Jefferson Democratic Club in Mill Basin, hosted by scandal-plagued former local party boss Frank Cedillo. Pro-Israel activist Stephanie Benzemol shouted at Adams, who some Democrats fault with not doing more to combat anti-Semitism when she served as a council member, a council speaker, as a matter of fact. Again, this is Adrian Adams, lieutenant governor candidate with Governor Hochul. A former Queens councilwoman who was speaker from 2022 to the end of December refused to take questions before she scampered out of the building. When Jeffries, a longtime Brooklyn representative, threw his support behind Adams, Benzemol started walking around the room, wanted to be heard on the issue dear to many Jewish New Yorkers. I just have a question. Don't tell me to go home, but the crowd booed her, telling her she was out of order, and began forcing her out of the room. This came as Adams appeared to be trying to mend fences with Brooklyn Democrat bigwigs. Hochul, who's running for a second term, full 4-year term, in November, picked Adams as her running mate in February in the first all-female major party gubernatorial ticket in state history. But the lieutenant governor pick was met with a temporary revolt from Brooklyn party bosses, with State Assemblywoman Ranise Hermley and other leaders of the King County Democrat Committee initially withdrawing their support of Hochul in light of their announcement. If you recall, I had mentioned that at the time. Last year, Adams received just 6% of the first-round mayoral primary vote in the Assembly District surrounding the Jefferson Democratic Club, where she spoke to a crowd of about 50 attendees. But while James spoke, protesters outside were heard shouting, "Adriana Adams, go home," and "Adriana Adams is an anti-Semite." Robert Pearl, a blogger and member of the so-called New York First organization, who was among the anti-Adams protesters, told the Post he also didn't approve of her because of what she did to this neighborhood during the migrant crisis. The neighborhood got hit very badly by the migrant crisis. They drained our resources. They were all over the neighborhoods. It was a very serious thing, and nobody listened to us. Outside the club, Benzemol told the Post that she was trying to ask Adams, what are you doing? What are you going to do for all the anti-Semitism and the safety of Jews in New York? This is the largest population of Jews outside of Israel. And Adriana Adams wouldn't answer my question, and they threw me out, and then everyone clapped. All right. Well, we have quite a few other things about the rise of the Democratic Socialists of America. Yes, I heard the corning whistle as well. Stay with us. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. We still got a lot to cover with the DSA. We've got some really cool Blakeman updates. As I said in the 7 o'clock hour, there's the whistle. I thought I heard the whistle before. There's Robert Barnum's going to be our guest, Wrestling with the Cold War. I think you're going to enjoy that interview. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News. Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. One quick thing that I want to mention before we run out of time and we get back talking about politics, but I haven't had an opportunity to promote this, and I want to because it's for such a good organization. Wow, we have a lot, actually. Turns out we have a lot of things that I should probably be mentioning. There it is. The Kiwanis Club. Today, the Kiwanis Club of Horseheads will present its 38th annual charity outing. The outing will be held at the Big Flats American Legion 1612. The outing will start at 4:30 p.m. and end at approximately 7 p.m. Drawings to include a first place cash prize of $3,000 and a second place cash prize of $500 plus numerous other prizes. All proceeds will be donated to various child-oriented charities in Horseheads area. So that is tonight, if you weren't aware. Okay. A far-left Democrat House hopeful named Elijah Manley accused incumbent Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz of trying to take away black representation by running in Florida's black majority 20th Congressional District. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been receiving a lot of pushback on this. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been around for a long time in politics. She was the actual head of the DNC for quite some time. She's been a member of Congress since 2005. She is the only white candidate running in the 20th District, and she's facing 4 black opponents, including Manley, in today's primaries. Quote, I think it's cynical for the Congresswoman to carpetbag into a district and try to take away black representation in a split field. Manley, it should be noted, identifies as a Democrat socialist. Wasserman Schultz opted to run in the 20th District after Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis implemented a new congressional map earlier this year, which significantly altered her current district, the 25th, and the district where she lives, the 22nd, to make them more GOP friendly. The crowded field in the 20th District Democratic primary includes Manly, indicted former Representative Sheila Sir-Phyllis McCormick, who I mentioned earlier. Oh, listen to this. 2 Live Crew rapper. Remember them? 2 Live Crew? Rapper Luther Uncle Luke Campbell and former Broward County Mayor Dale Holness. Manly isn't the only candidate taking issue with Wasserman Schultz's run for the vacant Southeast Florida seat. Sir-Phyllis McCormick said, for her to come in like this is just another Broward seat. It's a complete erasure of our history, our fight for black access. Wasserman Schultz, the best funded candidate in the Deep Blue District, maintains that she's more than capable of representing the predominantly black and Hispanic district, saying, I'm not airdropping myself in this district. I have represented diverse communities. I know how to tailor my service to them and represent a district more broadly. That'll be another race to watch tomorrow. But with all of this and the rise of the Democrat Socialists of America, and we know Hakeem Jeffries isn't completely safe from this, but Chuck Schumer has definitely been a lightning rod for Democrats to just feel that he has not done enough against Trump. This goes back to when he agreed not to shut down the government. And since then, remember, he had to cancel his own book tour, a book tour that would have been pro-Democrat, right? But his own party, they were concerned about the attacks from his own party. Well, questions about Schumer's future grow as these new Democrat candidates call for change. This coming from The Hill. Questions are growing about Senator Chuck Schumer's future as an increasing number of Democrat candidates say they will not support his bid for another term as Senate Democrat leader. And we also know that there's a potential AOC challenge for his next go-around, not for leadership, for his actual seat, which I think she right now would win. If not her, there's suggestions that maybe Zohran Mamdani may run for his seat. Progressive critics of the Democrat establishment are calling for a leadership shakeup in Washington as their candidates win Senate Democrat primaries in Illinois, Maine, Michigan, and Minnesota. You got to keep this in mind about Democrat Socialists of America. I know I've got to take a break. Like I've said before, they don't want 99%. 99.5% just won't do, as the old song said. They want 100%. And that means leadership positions. That means you better be in lockstep with their party platform. These candidates have the backing of progressive Democrat senators in Schumer's caucus. They say the party has become too aligned with corporate interests and is not fighting hard enough to increase taxes on the wealthy and expand the social safety net. Progressive candidates Abdul Al-Sahad in Michigan, Peggy Flanagan in Minnesota, and Troy Jackson in Maine, who are all running as Democrat Senate nominees, say they will not vote for Schumer as leader. Yeah, I don't want to rush this. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox getting ready to wrap up hour number 1.
Hi, I'm attorney Anna Zarpels from WDC Injury Law. I'm not particularly athletic, but I am a big fan of sports and I'm hyper-competitive. I want to win at everything I do, and that includes getting my clients the best personal injury settlement possible. I'm a much better injury attorney than I am a hockey player, and there's no fee unless we win your case. Call 607-500-HURT for a free consultation.
Google reviews rank Ferrari Ram the highest customer experience Ram dealer in our area.
Get a new 1500 Ram Ferrario priced at 18% off. Express, Warlock, or Bighorn. Ferrario priced at 18% off. With America's best full-size truck powertrain limited warranty, 10-year, 100,000 miles. 2026 Ram 1500, 18% off. Take your pick.
Make this the summer event.
Visit Ferrario Ram in Elmira for your Ram 1500.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We can enjoy some seasonable sunshine for our Tuesday, around 80 degrees, more sun than clouds, and we'll see high temperatures ranging from 76 to 82, looking from west to east across the area. Overnight, upper 50s, a little cool with the drier air in place, and then 81 for a high on Wednesday. We do have some shower and storm potential returning Wednesday and into Wednesday night.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, talking about the kind of the DSA and the far left Democrats who are saying they will not support Chuck Schumer and his leadership. Illinois Lieutenant Governor Julianne Stratton, who won the Democratic primary to succeed Dick Durbin, said in March she won't vote for Schumer to serve another term because, quote, voters all across the state of Illinois are fed up with what's happening in Washington. Even so, Senate Democratic insiders say Schumer, who is 75, is likely to remain as the Democrat leader. Schumer is hailed by these voices as a tireless worker and fundraiser for his party and colleagues. That's what's always fascinating, because this would happen to Nancy Pelosi, too, when Democrats would have a huge loss, and you go, well, she can't be minority leader or majority leader. They always would. They rally around, don't they? So, yes, a lot of these people will say they don't like Chuck Schumer because they think it'll get them a vote, that they're not going to vote for Chuck Schumer. But at the end of the day, he's probably still going to remain the Democrat leader. Isn't that wild? Schumer's allies note that he scored impressive recruiting wins in North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, and Alaska. Schumer played a key role in convincing candidates such as former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, former three-term Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, Iowa State Representative Josh Turek, and former Alaska Representative Mary Polito to run for Senate. A Democrat senator who requested anonymity to talk about Schumer's future said there doesn't appear to be a challenger in the caucus gearing up, though the lawmaker warned that could change if Senate Democrats underperform in the November election. The lawmaker argued that the victories of progressives in Senate primaries show that voters are hungry for political leadership who will take on entrenched corporate interests. And a lot of this is unfortunately, the AI PAC that they don't like. It's the kind of anti-Semitism's involved in this. It sends a really powerful message that Americans are increasingly fed up with oligarchs, dark money, corporations having all the power, and folks who are campaigning saying they will take on the establishment have enormous appeal. Any party that doesn't listen to that on both sides of the aisle is probably screwing up. There's a sense that a lot of people, probably on both sides of the aisle, that the folks here in the Senate, in the end, do work for the powerful. People realize they can take on those powerful issues and make it an issue that they're spending these vast sums. So at the end of the day, I do believe we're going to get a lot of these articles now till November about Chuck Schumer. They don't normally go after Hakeem Jeffries too much. Now, the Democrat Socialists of America did, if you recall, at that one victory rally where they showed his picture on stage and the whole crowd was chanting, "You're next, you're next." I still believe at the end of the day, Chuck Schumer is going to be the Democrat leader, if that's the position. I guess if Democrats don't have big wins in November, maybe not. I just don't see a scenario. And I don't, listen, I'm not Democrat, whatever they think. But as people are saying, he's the status quo, he's the establishment. I think the train has left the station a long time ago. It's not where the American public is. Democrats have 41% approval, and Democrats have 41% approval, and Republicans have 39%. If the Democrats take back the Senate, at least he's got a case to say, I was the leader when we took back the Senate. Jim Kessler, a former Schumer aide, said if Democrats can take the Senate, Chuck Schumer is the leader. Period. The end. Even though there are going to be some new leaders, members of their primary campaign was running against Schumer as leader, that was a tiny part of the caucus. Leaders don't get replaced because they won. If Democrats are going to retake the Senate, it means the folks Schumer nurtured to get into the race won. All right, there you go. Your thoughts? The end of Chuck Schumer's leadership? No, I don't think so. I do think it'll be interesting, though, if an AOC or even a Zohran Mamdani primary challenges him. I think that's in 2 years. All right, I know we're covering a lot this morning. We're going to talk about this Ossoff, John Ossoff, the new star in the Democrat Party because he's criticizing Trump. Also, the next hour, we're going to talk with our friend Robert Barnum about his book, Wrestling with the Cold War. I know we got some wrestling fans out there. I think you're going to enjoy that. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking with hour number 2 after this.
It's layaway your swimming pool time at Hesselsen's for next year. With Hesselsen's Easy Layaway Plan, only $500 down guarantees you this year's price and gets you on an early installation date for next year. But hurry in, as next year's list will fill fast. Same great pricing, same great service, same great installation. Come in early so you can enjoy your new swimming pool all summer long. Hesselsen's, your locally owned and operated swimming pool store since 1955, will always be there for you today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at
Sunflower Days opens August 15th at Bradley Farms. Fall is in the air, and there's no better place to celebrate. Bring the whole family for our seasonal games, selfie stations, and make fall memories wandering through our giant corn maze. Bradley Farms is open daily 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., located at 1543 Maple Avenue in Elmira, New York. Come out to Bradley Farms for our Sunflower Days and the opening of fall fun.
Dear Coach. Dear Coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that.
First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of.
You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more at firsttee.com.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We have a lot to cover. We've been talking about some of the primary races that are going off today. We've got a few things here more about the Democrat Socialists of America. I'm really excited to tell you about some New York State updates, and specifically Bruce Blakeman. As I mentioned, if you are just joining us, if you are just warming up, however you want to look at it, Robert Barnum is going to be our guest here in about 15, 20 minutes. We're going to talk about the Wrestling with the Cold War book that he just put out. And I just mentioned earlier, right before we went to break, Chuck Schumer, perhaps out of leadership. It doesn't look it, but that's the articles that we'll see. Well, the DSA wants, according to the Groundwork Caucus, they are kicking around the possibility that if Representative AOC runs for president in 2028, as many expect her to do, New York City Council member Shay Oze could run for U.S. Senate. Last year, Oze joined the DSA and filed paperwork to primary House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, whose Brooklyn district overlaps with his, but Mayor Zohran Mamdani intervened to stop the effort, speaking personally at a DSA meeting to discourage what he thought would be a costly and distracting race that could imperil progress during the first year as New York City mayor. The organization eventually voted not to back Oze. So his name, so it doesn't sound like Schumer is going to be safe no matter what. Now, as I had mentioned, Senator Jon Ossoff seems to be the new star of the Democrat Party because he's out attacking Trump. He was on MS Now's The Briefing and said that we are in Banana Republic territory. Okay. So CNN took him bad-mouthing Trump and saying, this rising Democrat is writing the script for his party's bid to finally rein in Trump. That's Stephen Collinson from CNN. This is roughly I'm going to guess about 15 pages. And there's always a new star. We saw it with Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom was attacking Trump, so they ran with him. We see it constantly. 2 rallies, nearly 1,000 miles and 2 days apart, laid out the increasingly stark choice confronting midterm election voters and a looming moment of reckoning over the nation's future course. In Atlanta, Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff delivered an acidic takedown of President Trump, an economy that many voters think is failing them, and a war Trump started and has failed to resolve. Ossoff boiled the election down to a referendum on corruption, cost, and failed global leadership. Quote, under Donald Trump, it costs more than ever to stock your fridge, to power your home, to make a cup of coffee, to buy school supplies for your kids, or a tractor. Isn't that amazing? First of all, there was no inflation, at least that's not what the media reported on, with Biden. Now we're still reaping those consequences, and now it's all Trump's fault. So nothing to talk about for 4 years. Now Trump's in there, and the full blame goes on Trump. Very interesting how that works. But again, I know I've said it all morning long, but it's why there is no credibility in the media. It's just like that question that she asked during that celebration of that heroic lifeguard at the White House, and the CNN reporter has to ask nasty, insinuating questions. But yeah, no questions during the Biden administration. Okay, I'm not going to go through everything Jon Ossoff has. I just want to put him on your radar if you haven't been paying attention, because he is the rising Democrat, according to Stephen Collinson. And this could have a little bit to do with the more establishment Democrats not wanting it to be a Democrat Socialist of America. I'm not saying Ossoff isn't very liberal. I'm just saying there's a fear, and we've got that here in just a little bit, of fear from the Democrats about what this could mean, especially not so much in midterms, because a lot of the Democrat Socialists of America are winning in deep blue, not all, but in deep blue areas, so they're guaranteed, essentially guaranteed, that general election win. It's about 2028, and there's a real fear there. But they're asking now, just because he had a couple of kind of nasty barbs at the president, Ossoff in 2028, Georgia's senator isn't running, he says repeatedly. Ossoff's name has been getting more attention as he campaigns in crucial re-election races against MAGA loyalist and election denier Representative Mike Collins, and he's become one of the newest targets of President Trump. In remarks Sunday night, Ossoff kept his attention on his Georgia race, but also called Trump the result of a rot that already existed in politics and that is bigger than any one leader. In a speech in Marietta last month, Trump called Ossoff Pinky Herman. I thought he said Pee Wee Herman, meaning the 1980s character Pee Wee Herman, and a terrible senator. Ossoff, however, rarely responded to the president's personal attack against him, instead opting to criticize the president over the cost of living, the Iran war, and as I mentioned. Okay. Now, who is this? Ossoff is having a moment online. TikTok videos of his campaign speeches, television appearances, and questioning during Senate hearings have gone viral with millions of views. A video of Ossoff questioning Pete Hegseth, posted by the official account of the Democrat Party, has more than 1 million views, with comments ranging from "That's my senator" to "Ossoff 2028" to "He looks presidential and he speaks like Obama." So Emerson polls Ossoff in 2028 for the first time in an Emerson College poll released at the end of July. Ossoff's name was included as a possible option for the nominee. Ossoff was polling at 13% to be the nominee, but only Pete Buttigieg at 19 and Newsom at 17. Ossoff was tied with AOC and above Kamala Harris. Now, the White House responded to John Ossoff. Ossoff, who was seeking a second term in the Senate, accused Trump of preferring to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie, an apparent reference to his White House aide, Natalie Harp, over doing the job of commander-in-chief. It's really petty. Okay, he has an assistant. I don't know. I guess that's the direction the media and the left is going. But that did not sit well with the White House. John Ossoff is a cringeworthy feminine theater kid cosplaying as Barack Obama, said White House spokesman Davis Ingalls. As a college student, Ossoff was a member of a Georgetown University singing group and once dressed up as Han Solo for a Star Wars parody film, footage of which was used in attack ads against him during his first Senate run. Ingalls said, "Nobody gives a blank what this lightweight loser says." I'm not gonna... Stephen Chung came up with I think a pretty obvious crude nickname for Ossoff. But Chung also said, instead of denigrating hardworking people serving their country, John should look deep into his soul and ask himself why he's a miserable person who hates this country. It's because he's a radical extremist Democrat. Ossoff, who was running against Representative Mike Collins, as I mentioned, in November, has been floated as a possible presidential contender. The senator accused Trump of lying the country into war with Iran. While the sailors on the Lincoln fight this war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. Asked about Ossoff's comments, Trump quipped, "You mean Pee Wee Herman?" "No, I wouldn't much rather do other things than travel with Harp and work on the ballroom. We are building a great facility here." Also, speaking of other... do I want to go there? Yeah, I want to tell you about this. Okay, completely different people. I don't want you to get them confused. James Tellerico, the Democrat running for Senate in Texas. Did you see who he hired? If this doesn't tell you who John Cornyn really is, a former staffer for John Cornyn has now joined Democrat James Tellerico Senate campaign as he tries to defeat Republican nominee Ken Paxton. Jacob Smith, who spent 5 years working for John Cornyn as deputy legislative director and policy advisor, is now serving as Tellerico's deputy policy director. "I've worked for Republicans like Senator Cornyn my entire life, but this year I'm proud to be joining James Tellerico's campaign." Tells you a little bit about him. All right, we got to take a short break. Kind of want to run too late because I want to get to some of your comments, but I also want to mention we got to talk about Bruce Blakeman too. My goodness. Okay, I can just feel this hour getting away from us already. Stay with us. Robert Barnum coming up here in just a little bit. Also, tomorrow's program, Mary Caruso from Corning Community Food Pantry will be joining us. You want to hear all about that. They got a special award that she's up for. I'm excited to hear more about it. Later in the week, I believe we're going to be talking with the VA about their upcoming big event, which we'll learn all about. And I don't want to give too much away. I can't tell you what day yet. Probably Friday, but it could be Thursday. You just got to tune in both days. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. So it's either Thursdays with Phil or Fridays with Phil. Either way, we look forward to it. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Looking for a meaningful day trip close to home? Visit the historic Elmira Prison Camp, one of the most significant Civil War sites in the North. Walk the grounds, stand where history happened, discover powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival that shaped our nation. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a family looking to learn together, or simply exploring the Finger Lakes region, we offer an experience you won't forget. Plan your visit today at elmiracivilwar.org. Preserve, discover, remember.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
And that anything.
Oh man, where is he?
Our client deserves big money. Oh, you can try to downplay it or shift the blame, but to not offer top dollar is just nuts. Pardon the pun.
Looks like another working vacation.
Oh, good morning, Peter.
Hey.
Hurt in a car? Only call William Mattar, 444-4444.
It's Kyle's last spin on his turntable.
Yeah.
And the first day of Kira's new career in IT. When you donate to Goodwill, you help provide skills training and career placement. And the things you love start a new life too.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We can enjoy some seasonable sunshine for our Tuesday, around 80 degrees, more sun than clouds, and we'll see high temperatures ranging from 76 to 82, looking from west to east across the area. Overnight, upper 50s, a little cool with the drier air in place. And then 81 for a high on Wednesday. We do have some shower and storm potential returning Wednesday and into Wednesday.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. Mark writes in, you didn't see Biden lowering drug costs. You didn't see Biden building factories to get people working. You didn't see Biden building up our military. But you did see Biden open the borders to make the mess we are in now. Good point, Mark. I appreciate that. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning to you. Our granddaughter is visiting. How nice. And would like to know why the Corning fountain is closed. That's a good question. I had somebody else ask me that the other day, but then every once in a while, when I'm out back, it's going. So I don't know the official reasoning. I'm sorry. I have not heard, and I did not receive any kind of press release. I'll ask around. But last week, well, the weeks kind of blend together. But we did have a couple days where I saw, and then other days where I didn't. So I'm not sure. It seems to be kind of intermittent since the big Corning 175th celebration. I'm not saying those two things are related. That's just when I happened to notice it. So if anybody knows the reason, please text in. Why is the Corning fountain closed? Great question. All right, I wanted to mention this before we get ready to talk with our good friend Robert Barnum. But Daniel McCarthy says, don't believe the Democrat National Committee's official storyline. The DNC's decision to make South Carolina the first Democrat presidential primary in 2028 isn't about introducing more racial diversity into the early contests. It's actually about keeping power in the hands of the party establishment. The people who backed Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020 and who are likely to wind up supporting Kamala Harris in 2028. The fix is in. This is very reminiscent of what happened with Hillary and Bernie, right? South Carolina was the establishment's firewall against Bernie Sanders' left-wing insurgency twice over. In 2016, Sanders nearly beat Hillary Clinton in the first caucus in Iowa and went on to defeat her in the New Hampshire primary. 4 years later, there was a brief moment when Sanders looked like the frontrunner until he got clobbered by Joe Biden in South Carolina. It's true that black voters who make South Carolina's primaries more racially diverse than the contests in Iowa or New Hampshire are also less politically radical. So it's easy for the DNC to say it's not trying to choke off support for the socialist wing of the party, it's just giving black voters more of a say. The Democrat Socialists of America, the left fringe of the party, is disproportionately white. Even its New York City chapter is 60% white. That's astonishing considering New York itself is only 34% white. The racial split between the Democrats' most ideologically intense factions and the party's elite, which only holds on to power thanks to black voters' loyalty, is a fault line with the potential to reshape American politics. South Carolina doesn't just lean toward establishment Democrats, it backs them overwhelmingly. Nearly 3/4 of the state's Democrat primary voters chose Clinton over Sanders in 2016, while Biden beat Sanders there in 2020 by a ratio of more than 2-1. A candidate like Harris or her fellow California Governor Gavin Newsom, or her fellow Californian Gavin Newsom, fits the profile in Harris's unbeatable name recognition as a former VP and 2024 nominee, and race and sexual diversity qualifications likely give her an edge. DSA members won't stay home and let another Republican succeed Donald Trump rather than turn out to vote for Harris or Newsom. But if the establishment candidate goes on to lose in November of 2028, the party will be ripe for a revolution. Will black voters who have so far resisted Sanders-style socialism be just as content with a DSA-led party as they have been with the Democrats' old guard? Meanwhile, the Republican states growing, while blue states like California shed population and businesses. The Democrats face a terminal problem in the Electoral College and in the U.S. House of Representatives. With each census, Republicans stand to gain House seats and electoral votes. But Democrats can offset the GOP's growth advantage if they start flipping southern states back into the blue column. Georgia is the test case. The state has prospered under Republican leadership, but that prosperity has fueled the growth of Atlanta and has turned many of the city's suburbs blue. Virginia, of course, has already become a purple state, if not a reliably Democrat one. And while Washington, D.C. is a unique influence as the center of the federal government, the growth of the Old Dominion's deep blue D.C. suburbs, which keep extending further into Virginia's interior, is not so different from the effect Atlanta is having on Georgia. North Carolina is another weak link in the Republican Party's southern wall. So despite backing recent losers, Hillary Clinton a decade ago, Biden and Harris both in the last election, the Democrat establishment thinks it's hit upon a strategy both for keeping control of the party and wresting the South away from Republicans. And it's confident the DSA will fall in with the party line. After all, the elite Democrats are more allergic to the socialist label than they are to socialistic policies. Yeah, and this is very reminiscent, again, of what happened with Bernie. And I was always shocked at the people that were Bernie supporters that ended up saying, okay, I guess we'll support Hillary. You would think after 3 or 4 times of your own party saying they don't trust your vote, that the fix is always in, that you'd start to scratch your head and say, maybe this isn't the party for me. But so far, that has not been the case. But what they're concerned of, the establishment gives the Democrat Socialists of America what they want, is essentially what this argument is making. But they just don't like the label. Yet a plan is one thing. The reality is there's a knife fight for control of the Democrat Party, and these pieces won't fit together easily. And while the Democrats' emerging opportunities are in the South, the party's ideologically ascendant faction is the least suited to capitalize on them. That gives Republicans a chance to stop both the Democrat Socialists and their racial spoils system. To do the GOP will have to campaign for the South like it's a battleground region, and slow, even if it can't immediately reverse the drift of America's cities to the left. Republicans need the South and the Rust Belt, the combination that led to victory in 2016 and 2024. If the GOP can't compete in cities, even those in flourishing red states, the party is on the road to extinction. All right, there we go. When we return, we're going to hear from our friend Robert Barnum about his book, Wrestling with the Cold War. Then when we return, we'll read some of your comments. But we got to talk about Bruce Blakeman. I think you got some really interesting things here about Bruce Blakeman and just the New York updates in general. And a couple things here about the Republican Party. I see some comments coming in. I'll try to get to those. Some waves. Jack says, before we go to break, Jack says, Since, and by the way, good morning, Jack. Since he's good at it, perhaps Chuck Schumer should be moved to full-time campaign leader as Democrat fundraiser. I'm sure they can come up with an appropriate title to lure him. I'm actually hoping less TV airtime. He burns my ears when he's on. Maybe he can get people to give up the cash. Chuck, up the cash? I like it. That could be a slogan. Why not? All right. Yeah, he's in a weird position right now, but I do think he'll still be leader. I do. All right, let's take that break. Robert Barnum, when we return, stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Live a carefree, engaging lifestyle at Apple Ridge Senior Living, where exceptional is the standard. It's time to redefine your future. Pursue your passions and make meaningful connections. Enjoy an inclusive and customizable senior living experience. Everything you could want, more than you expect. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and schedule your tour today.
Come celebrate the 207th Steuben County Fair from Monday, August 17th through Sunday, August 23rd. Wednesday, August 19th is Broken Bee Rodeo starting at 7 p.m. And there's more. Demolition derbies, monster truck show, games, rides, fun for the whole family. For tickets and information, visit SteubenCountyFair.org. Experience the Steuben County Fair from August 17th through the 23rd.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio this morning, we're talking wrestling. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Frank?
Good. This is an interesting one. So tell us about your new book, Wrestling with the Cold War.
So Wrestling the Cold War was my dissertation for my doctorate.
Okay.
I just graduated from Liberty University with my doctorate in history. I wanted to write on something about the Cold War. It's actually slightly humorous on how I got to that. I was originally going to write on Ronald Reagan ending the Cold War. I've already written one book on it. We discussed it once.
Yeah, right.
And the person who's in charge of my, your mentor, like, it has to be something original. So I went through like 4 different ideas. I'm starting to get slightly frustrated. I'm like, okay, how about professional wrestling in the Cold War? It's a great idea, and it's original. And but it was really neat because I really been thinking about this for a long time. I even wrote another paper on professional wrestling and pop culture, and we were just talking about that. And people don't fully grasp the power of what professional wrestling has to influence groups of people or large parts of America on how we view pop culture and history.
Right.
And that's what came out of Wrestling with the Cold War. As again we were talking about, the Cold War was the first. It was first off, it was 45 years of war. Mm-hmm. That's like 1/5 of our history.
Right. That's a good point.
So then you look at it, and that's the first pop culture war, meaning that it's on television, it's in movies, it's in books.
Magazines, everything.
Yeah, when I did polls, everybody's like, Rocky IV,
right?
Top Gun.
Sure.
But that's what pop culture is. That's how we, as Americans, view ourselves in history in a form. And so pop culture was huge with professional wrestling, or professional wrestling as it came to be in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was very strong in taking what professional wrestling does is, and there's a great quote by Tony Atlas. And Tony Atlas, Mr. USA,
of course,
once quoted, "If you want to see what's going on in the world, come and watch us and we'll put a mirror to your face."
Interesting.
So what he's saying, and this is the psychology and the sociology involved in with professional wrestling, is this. We're going to take stories from, for instance, Cold War, other parts of history. Like there was a great one once when there was the whole Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton, and they were about ready to seriously edit DX on USA Network. And Shawn Michaels comes out there and does this whole thing where, like, oh, I was up all night, was that intern. They loved it. But you're taking a piece of history and using it as... So professional wrestling did the same thing and making characters of the storylines of the Cold War, Russian characters or Soviet characters, and people, and then they used the power of nationalism and patriotism. And
people eat it up.
Yeah. You got these characters of, like, again, we were just talking about it. The Iron Sheik and you Americans, we hate you. I mean, you already got
and the
people
crowd's
hating
going
you.
crazy. Yeah. That's such a good point. How long did it take you to research this book?
It was over 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Did you have to watch a lot of wrestling?
That's a great question. It's another humorous one because first off, I told my wife about it. Like, yeah, honey, I'm going to be writing about professional wrestling in the Cold War, and she's like, only you can write about professional wrestling for a dissertation. And but it was really neat. That's one of the things that really stands out about my dissertation is there's not a ton of primary sources as of. It's hard to get a hold of professional wrestlers. Obviously, a lot are passing away. Iron
Sheik just died not that long ago, didn't he?
I think he was like 8 years ago.
Oh, it's been that long, yeah.
Hulk Hogan was 2 years ago. Piper was. I mean, they're all that's left is like Jake the Snake, Magnificent Morocco. I used a lot of YouTube, and you could watch their actual video. So it's a primary source.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was really a pleasure to go back and find all these bits and pieces. And an interesting thing is, it really helped in explaining this. I don't know your age, but I'm 57. I grew up in the 80s. Yeah. I watched professional wrestling as a kid. As a kid, you don't... Subconsciously, you're listening to it, but you're just like watching the show.
Sure.
Now going back to it, I mean, there was a point where the Iron Sheik and Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov are on, what was his name? He was a cowboy. He was, I can't remember the name of the wrestler. He was Barry Windham's dad.
Okay.
I don't remember it. But in the interview, the Iron Sheik's talking about, we'll cut your oil off, you big Texas man. We'll cut your oil off, and Blackjack Mulligan's coming back. Oh, we can get our oil from Texas. But this is actually real world stuff that's being talked about. You're just throwing it around in a kind of like a little,
the sideline a bit, essentially.
Yeah. And then Nikolai Volkov gets on, tries to say something, and again he's calling him a commie. Well, this is actually lingo that was used at that time.
Right.
And so again, as a kid, you're getting this subconsciously, and you're being influenced on how you look at communists, how you look at Iranians, how you look at the Cold War. And that was the point of the whole book, is how professional wrestling shaped how we looked at the Cold War.
Right. Do you think Vince McMahon is obviously brilliant at marketing? Do you think this was just to make money, or was there a level of patriotism in there that he wanted? Or at the end of the day, is it just put people in the seats?
It was put people in the seats.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant at doing that because he knew how.
And would you say that was probably the peakish of wrestling? The peak? I mean, that was really the star-studded days.
The peak was... Well, there was two peaks, but at that time period, for like discussing about the Cold War, it had to be the part where when MTV and professional wrestling merged.
Okay.
And because you had such a change in pop culture and where professional wrestling sat in pop culture. Meaning this, before the merger, you had pop culture looking at music. Rock music was huge in the 80s. You had, of course, movies that were huge in the 80s. Television was one of the main, I call it like the mainstay, the main area of pop culture. Professional wrestling was on the outskirts of that. It was, as Hulk Hogan was quoted, and I used it in my book, professional wrestling was more like, older men go to armories, you watch professional wrestling, they're drinking beer and having cigars. Obviously, that is not really a family environment.
Right.
Vince was brilliant, and he took professional wrestling, teamed it, and Cyndi Lauper was fully in it. I mean, Cyndi Lauper should be actually
in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah.
Sorry. And because she even went along with like everything Piper did. She was even hitting the albino. I'm like, oh my. And, and she's like, I think maybe 100 pounds.
Maybe, yeah.
And so, they did a brilliant segue of like, and it was so brilliant. We were talking about this because they're in Madison Square Garden, Mecca of New York.
Yeah.
You have Cyndi Lauper, which I believe in '84 was like one of the top 3 women singers.
Sure.
You had Dick Clark on there, which was known by everybody for his TV shows. David Wolf. And then, of course, Captain Albano's in there. And then comes Roddy Piper. Smashes a record over Albano's head. Cyndi Lauper covers Lou Albano. Piper kicks Lauper in the head. And, of course, he didn't hurt her. It was all staged. They were coming after Piper. I mean, they had to have police around Piper. And that was it.
The passion and the loyalty that wrestling fans have for the sport is
amazing.
It's unique in that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no other group about it. I mean, there's been wrestlers who've been stabbed, shot, attacked on, and it was amazing because all of a sudden, out of that one move, you all of a sudden have this whole juggernaut of toys coming out.
Oh, sure.
And kids are now loving it. And you got Hulk Hogan, and the fans were just. I mean, to this day, fans are still loyal to like the old school wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Sure.
I mean, the wrestling fans are just, they're wonderful. I am a wrestling fan, so I can fully say this. I mean, I've taken my kids, and we still have moments where, like, in fact, my daughter wants to do a podcast with me, and we're like, Dad, remember when we did this, and we saw Tess? Remember when we saw Shawn Michaels?
Oh, yeah.
And, and I was walking out of a store by Kawaneski Park.
Yeah.
And this gentleman was coming down. He was wearing like shorts that looked like Shawn Michaels' old thing. They're like, "Hey, that's Shawn Michaels." We had this whole 15-minute conversation about professional wrestling.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, the wrestling.
The dedication. Oh, it's 100%. Who was your favorite wrestler?
Back in the day, Piper.
Piper. Okay, interesting. When you did the research for this book, it's called Wrestling with the Cold War. What was perhaps the biggest surprise, the biggest takeaway for you?
How much. We discussed about this. Ronald Reagan was also the main part of it is in the 80s, set in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And part of that reason was because of Ronald Reagan. There was a whole change in the Cold War due to Ronald Reagan.
Sure.
There was a change in America because there was a change in morale. Americans were now kind of gelled together under patriotism and nationalism. Mm-hmm. Reagan was very good at creating this feeling of, hey, we're going to beat the Soviets. We're going to end the Cold War. And Americans really did appreciate that and flocked to it. We built up our military. And it also helped.
Peace through strength, right?
Yeah, peace through strength. And, then we did start having discussions. So, people recognized Reagan as a huge part, and he was just a part. He wasn't the soul, but he was a huge part in ending the Cold War.
Yeah.
Along with that, then, of course, it was like the perfect storm. Mm-hmm. And you had the American hockey team winning, and you had the famous,
and like you said, even with Rocky, right? Yeah, you had this that sense of patriotism.
So Rocky IV. They had the whole East-West thing always constantly going.
New Day in America, right? Or Breakfast in America, or what was it called?
But you're right. I just saw that commercial, and it was like everybody's coming together, and there was a happier feeling or a more safer feeling. I remember the '70s. I'm born in '69, so I remember the '70s, and there was, I always remember the scene from Rocky where it looks kind of, I don't want to say, anybody from Philadelphia, please don't get mad at me. It was kind of like a rundown area.
Yeah, sure.
And
that's fair.
And then, you know, you come to the 80s and we got glitz and glam and big hair and rock bands. I mean, it was a whole different time. And so, yeah, nationalism and patriotism were tied in with politics as well. And even Vince McMahon said that. He's like, everybody was rah-rah. That's why they put Hogan against the Iron Sheik.
And how easy is it to make someone like the Iron Sheik the heel? I mean, because like you said, the emotions are going to get hot pretty quick.
Professional wrestling is the one sports entertainment, the sport, that realizes and capitalizes on their fans' emotions.
Sure.
And it's not hard to push someone to do something when emotions are involved.
Right.
Make a decision, anything, you know, we all know this, we're humans. To make a decision or get somebody to make a decision, if they use it in advertisement all the time. Use it in politics all the time. You know, politicians do it. So professional wrestling is just great at doing it. I will take the Iron Sheik, which Americans already did not like because we had the hostage crisis, we had the oil embargo. We already didn't like, and it really, it's kind of funny. I'm like kind of chuckling myself right now because we're talking about Iran, and here we are.
Here we are in 2026 still talking about Iran.
So, and then, you know, as I said earlier, then you have this Iranian wrestler who's coming in and he brutalized other wrestlers. So now he's already, you know, he already made himself a bigger heel, and then he goes around just spitting on the ground, spitting on American flags.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't take an American much to spit on an American flag, and you're already
Gonna get mad.
irritated. Yeah. So, you know, then, no, you Americans suck. Yep,
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. So do you still watch wrestling?
Not as much.
Not as much?
No.
Do you think did you end up watching a lot in the research then? Or was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched a lot all the way up to the end of when Shawn Michaels and Triple H retired, which I think about 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Now, we didn't mention this at the beginning of the interview, but you work at CCC, Corning Community College, and you've got something neat just to change it from wrestling here for a moment. Tell us a little bit about your new Civil War class.
So we are at right now at Corning Community College. I also work at the University of Maryland Global Campus. We are putting together some what we call immersive classes. Our first one we're going to roll out is we haven't ironed out all the details yet, but we're working on what we call the immersive Civil War class. So we have in Elmira and Chemung County a great deal of historical sites. We have the Civil War prison, the graveyard, we have John Jones Museum, and we have our Chemung History Society, which a lot of people don't know. There was actually ties to the Lincoln assassination from Elmira. So what we are working on doing is having a class, obviously learning about the Civil War, but what makes it special, what makes it really like more, we call it hands-on and getting out into the community, is we're going to be going to these museums. We're going to be having a class in some of the museums. That's a good idea. I've reached out. I grew up in Lansing, New York. We, of course, in Lansing had Rogues Harbor and connections to the Underground Railroad, and the John Jones Museum is connected to the Underground Railroad. So we're going to bring the students, and we're going to have, I'm hoping to, I'm working with Lansing, and as we go on, hopefully have a speaker come up from Lansing also speak. And nothing's been slated yet as 110%, so I don't want to say.
Yeah, don't give away too much. Yeah.
We'd like to try to maybe get to Gettysburg. So.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing I want to do with this class is I personally, I mean, obviously we can't go to every single Civil War site.
Sure.
But I'd like to go to some of the closer ones, like the Harriet Tubman House.
Yeah.
I can do it. Harper's Ferry. Ford Theater, take some videos, walk around, so then I can also show the students instead of just seeing a book. You're like, hey, this is a video I took for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good idea. So, but nothing's set in stone yet. But when you get some more information and we can start signing people up, let me know, okay?
Okay.
We'll make sure to promote it. All right, before we go, Wrestling with the Cold War, where can people buy the book?
It will be available this week on Amazon.com and other platforms. And I'm going to be also seeing if I can get it available at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you do any book signings or anything, let us know, and we'll make sure to promote it, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
This is great. Thank you. Who would have known? Wrestling with the Cold War. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Give kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen. Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
After I had my accident, people told me I needed to slow down. I told them, I don't know how. I'm not only doing the things I used to do, I'm experiencing things I've only dreamed of. I have my freedom back. For the first time in a while, I can see all the colors in my life. So while some days might be harder than others, I know a place I can go where I can feel strong and supported.
Because with the help of my VA care team, I'm reaching new heights.
Take your healthcare career to new heights. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov/PSA.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We can enjoy some seasonable sunshine for our Tuesday, around 80 degrees, more sun than clouds, and we'll see high temperatures ranging from 76 to 82, looking from west to east across the area. Overnight, upper 50s, a little cool with the drier air in place, and then 81 for a high on Wednesday. We do have some shower and storm potential returning Wednesday and into Wednesday night.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hasselson studio. Thank you to Robert Barnum for being our guest. I know I'm running a little late, so let's go to viewer comments. Rick writes in, says, good morning, Frank. Good morning, Rick. Well, the old munitions situation isn't looking good. Why, with all the money being spent on building upgrades to put Trump's name on everything, the government forgot to order ammunition for the war. Good golly, it's bad. Well, here's a shocker. Trump has zero respect for our military and their families, especially those that are deployed right now. For example, those that have been on the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln and their escorts for the last 9 months. Must be his bone spurs are flaring up. Also, his disrespect for all the Afghans that helped us out during the war. There are still 250,000 people stuck there who are in danger in Afghanistan every day. Another U.S. promise broken, brought to you by Donald Trump. Trump threatens Oman. He says if they get in the way of the Strait of Hormuz negotiations, he will bomb the blank out of them. If he only had some bombs, throw a rock at him, Don. Blanche says Trump has never or would never ask him to cross any legal lines. Does that go for going after Trump's enemies also? Well, you still owe E. Jean Carroll $5.6 million. Trump cuts South Korea military drills because they wouldn't help us with an easy war with Iran. Real easy 6-month war, but he is real good friends with another monarch, Kim Jong Fat Boy Un. What a pal. Watching questions and answers with the press at the Golden Oval Office. He is the biggest liar. Do you know the strait was open? I mean, look at the pictures of hundreds of ships around the strait and Persian Gulf sitting idle. What is this disaster Trump has created? Ossoff hit the nail on the head. Attaboy. Have an awesome week, Rick. All right, comment from Jack, giving us some more ideas. Jack, you're having me skirt the line here. I got to be, I've been tongue twisted all morning. It's Chuck Schumer, and we know that he is adept at fundraising, and that's one of the reasons why he may stay in leadership. So what Jack's suggestion is for Chuck Schumer to just kind of give up the leadership and just go fundraising. Chuck up the cash. Chuck it in for Chuck. Chuck Schumer says, chuck up some cash. Don't hold back. Chuck it up. I think I'm going to stop there. I'm playing too close to fire. All right, Ken writes in, Frank, saying the legacy media reporting is not credible seems like an understatement. It makes it sound like they just don't do enough investigating to report credible information. The legacy media flat out lies to and consciously withholds pertinent information from the public in an effort to shape all political reporting in a negative light against Republicans and in a positive light toward Democrat. The legacy media aren't news organizations. They're propaganda outlets for the Democrats. Thank you, Ken. I would agree with that. I just say credibility because it was kind of an easy way to say it. And I've heard other people put it that way too, that they've lost all credibility, meaning that's why the ratings are going down like that. But I understand your point. Frankly, says another viewer, please reminisce on your interactions with Rowdy Piper back in the day. Roddy Piper. I don't know if I did have any interactions. I mean, I went and saw him in Elmira wrestle. But I don't believe I ever interviewed him. I interviewed Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart. He was great. So I got to see Rowdy Piper. I had a friend give me his autograph one time, but I don't think I really had any interactions. Could be wrong. But I did watch, like I said, he was at the, then called the First Arena in Elmira. It was cool. He seemed nice. But Jimmy Mouth of South Heart, he gave me a lot of time on my interview. All right, promised you I'd bring up Bruce Blakeman, and we will when we return from a quick break. But if you have any stories about Rowdy Piper, we can jump in with that. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
You deserve primary care that connects. Care that helps you move forward. To a provider who knows you, to the care you need, to the life you love. That's the power of a strong connection. Meet your new primary care provider at centralishealth.org/schedule and be seen within a week.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attacks. Highest hospitalization. Evacuation in the West. Forced labor.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So it was reported yesterday that a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat donor, mega donor in New York State, who previously contributed to Governor Kathy Hochul's campaign, is raising funds for none other than Bruce Blakeman, Hochul's opponent. Bonnie Engelbart Lautenberg, a professional photographer and philanthropist who's the widow of late New Jersey Democrat Senator Frank Lautenberg, plans to hold a fundraiser for Blakeman's campaign. And one Democrat says it's the talk of the Hamptons. It's a good get for Bruce. The tongue-wagging switcheroo is all the more surprising given that Lautenberg, 79, donated $1,000 to Hochul's re-election campaign in July of 2025. Lautenberg's Hochul handout was among hundreds of thousands of dollars she had forked over to Democrat causes over the past decade, including to Harris, Hillary Clinton. The deep-pocketed artist confirmed to the Post that she's holding a fundraiser for Blakeman, a conservative who counts President Trump as a personal friend, but said little more. It's true. Bruce is a longtime friend and neighbor. He's a great guy. She said nothing further than that. Blakeman said, I'm honored to have the support of Bonnie Lautenberg in my campaign for governor. Also on Bruce Blakeman, Governor Hochul has agreed to do a debate. They've tentatively agreed to a debate with Republican Bruce Blakeman, Kathy Hochul's team. As our campaign said back in February, Governor Hochul looks forward to debating Bruce Blakeman and holding him accountable for his record of jacking up property taxes, empowering ICE, and arming a MAGA militia that threatens New York's safety, Hochul's campaign spokesperson said. Blakeman, who's accepting matching funds, is required to appear in at least one debate under the program's rules, which I don't think he would have any problem with more than one debate. I think she will only have one debate, though. I don't think she's known for her debate chops or even her public speaking necessarily. I look forward to putting my record of cutting taxes and making Nassau the safest county in America up against the worst governor in America. A governor who has made New York the highest tax state in the nation, driven up utility bills, and made our state unaffordable and unsafe, Blakeman said. We've accepted 5 debates because New Yorkers deserve to see our records side by side. So he's already said, I want to do 5 and wants as many debates as possible. A date for the forum is yet to be scheduled, and formal invitations aren't expected to be issued until the statewide ballot is formally set by the Board of Elections. So there you go. We'll keep you updated on that. We'll be curious to see how that plays out. Now, speaking of Bruce Blakeman, I said I was going to have some Bruce Blakeman updates this morning, then get into another New York update from earlier this week. Republican gubernatorial hopeful Bruce Blakeman is amping up his fight to vanquish socialism from New York, according to the New York Post, showcasing a new initiative this week he says will protect the Empire State now and in the future. His Protect the New York Dream agenda is a multi-pronged approach focused on protecting home ownership, merit-based public education, private property rights, and jobs. Saying, quote, when Governor Kathy Hochul and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani tell homeowners that their success is a problem, tell high-achieving students that merit doesn't matter, and give politically connected organizations greater control over private property, they're undermining the very people who built this state. That ends when I'm governor. Blakeman, who has narrowed the Democrat incumbent's lead to about 10% based on the Siena poll, said the initiative is in response to a wave of socialist policies, such as that second home tax, championed by Mamdani with no opposition from Governor Hochul. The initiative includes fighting to protect and expand the gifted and talented programs in New York City's specialized high schools. Blakeman said that if he is elected, he'd guarantee students are rewarded for academic excellence and achievement, and the educational standards would not be lowered. He also pledged to protect New Yorkers' right to own, control, and sell their properties without government interference. He pointed out that Hochul's running mate, former City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, is a big supporter of the Mamdani-backed Community Opportunity for Purchase Act. The stalled legislation, Stalin-esque legislation, is designed to control how private property is sold, and it would slam $30,000 fines on landlords who refuse. It requires select community land trusts and other nonprofits providing affordable housing to make first offers to buy residential buildings with at least 3 units once they're on the market, and then match competitive private sector offers. He also reiterated his desire to reverse high tax burdens and progressive local agendas that he claims are causing businesses and taxpayers to flee to New York. Blakeman, whose campaign has centered around vowing to make New York safer and more affordable, pledged in May to provide historic financial relief for residents during his first 100 days as governor. This includes improving across-the-board 10% income tax cuts for people earning under $250,000 and eliminating all state income tax on the first $50,000 earned annually for single filers and $100,000 for joint filers. Blakeman said people come to New York from across the world because they want to live in a nation of peace, freedom, and opportunity. Now politicians like Zohran Mamdani and Kathy Hochul are bringing those socialist ideas to New York, making it nearly impossible for people who work hard to get ahead. I have news for the Hochul-Mamdani team. The New York dream is not dead, and I will fight to protect it. On that note, we have to take a short break. Get those last-second comments in as we wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking.
Looking for a meaningful day trip close to home? Visit the historic Elmira Prison Camp, one of the most significant Civil War sites in the North. Walk the grounds, stand where history happened, discover powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival that shaped our nation. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a family looking to learn together, or simply exploring the Finger Lakes region, we offer an experience you won't forget. Plan your visit today at elmiracivilwar.org. Preserve, discover, remember.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We can enjoy some seasonable sunshine for our Tuesday, around 80 degrees, more sun than clouds, and we'll see high temperatures ranging from 76 to 82, looking from west to east across the area. Overnight, upper 50s, a little cool with the drier air in place, and then 81 for a high on Wednesday. We do have some shower and storm potential returning Wednesday and into Wednesday night.
So Frankly Speaking roof cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A comment from Mark. He said, great. Bruce Blakeman will have Hochul dumbfounded in a debate as she has no charisma. Have a great day. Thank you, Mark. I hope you have a great day as well. There is an interesting piece because we heard earlier from Brooklyn Assemblywoman Emily Gallagher, who said that shoplifting is a crime of poverty, that there should really be no punishment for shoplifting. What Nicole Jelanis says, progressives, shoplifting isn't a need, it's just plain greed. It's hard to know which would be worse. That Gallagher isn't aware that shoplifting is a gang-led bulk fencing scheme that costs jobs and can escalate to deadly violence, or that she doesn't care. The criminals responsible for a disproportionate percentage of New York City retail theft aren't driven by hunger. They are repeat actors, people who steal and sell stolen goods for a living, or people who steal to support drug habits. As the New York Times reported in 2023, just 327 people in 2022 were responsible for almost 1 in 3 city shoplifting arrests, with some engaged in shoplifting as a trade and others driven by addiction or mental illness. Criminal rings help small-scale thieves resell their goods at pawn shops, at bodegas, and online. In 2023, The New Yorker profiled a beneficiary of New York's supportive housing network who resold stolen goods online to make a little extra cash. That's common. Open-air markets around the city regularly feature stolen toiletries for sale. I'm not going to go through all the numbers and get all wonky, but most poor people don't steal. Thieves do. And they steal more than they think they can get away with it. They'll steal more if they think they can get away with it, thanks to progressivism's misplaced ideas. Well, that does it. That's unbelievable. We went fast this morning. But we covered a lot. I believe we covered... there is a really good piece at AM New York. Mr. Mayor, listen to the rabbis regarding anti-Semitism and your rhetoric. You can find that at Empire Report, also at the New York Post. If you have a second and you want to, the Eric Swalwell scenario just got a little more salacious. But as California's Post says, Eric Swalwell's Fang Fang and Nancy Pelosi's legacy, that he should always be a part of Pelosi's legacy. But that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Ken writes in on the way out the door, shoplifting is a crime, or I want something for nothing. Yeah, well, she was presenting it as a crime of poverty, that there should be no repercussions. You can imagine what that does for businesses that are already avoiding New York like the plague because of the crime situation. But that does it. Thank you again to our good friend Robert Barnum and his book, Wrestling with the Cold War. We appreciate him being on the program. Tomorrow we're going to talk with Mary Caruso from the Corning Community Food Pantry about ways you can help support the food pantry with that vote for the NASCAR Foundation grant. You can vote now till the 6th of September. We're going to tell you all about that on tomorrow's broadcast. All right, join us every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning bright and early. Look forward to it already.
It's layaway your swimming pool time at Hesselson's for next year. With Hesselson's Easy Layaway Plan, only $500 down guarantees you this year's price and gets you on an early installation date for next year. But hurry in, as next year's list will fill fast. Same great pricing, same great service, same great installation. Come in early so you can enjoy your new swimming pool all summer long. Hesselson's, your locally owned and operated swimming pool store since 1955, will always be there for you today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Lease a brand new 2026 Chevy Equinox 1LT all-wheel drive with Gene Lease Loyalty or Conquest Bonus for only $389 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Chevrolet in Bath.